Sports Talk is brought to you by Star to Star Communications. Business owners, how would you like to cut your phone bill by up to 50%? Star to Star can save your business a substantial amount of money on your monthly phone bill. And if your business has multiple locations, Star to Star can save you even more money using its line pooling feature. Most customers see a positive cash flow the very first month they switch to Star to Star. For details on saving big money on your business phone bill every month, call Star to Star at 941-234-0001. That's 941-234-0001. Or visit startostar.com. And joining us now, great to welcome the sports director here in Sarasota, Manatee County, Florida, of SNN, Sarasota News Network. We're joined today by Adam Shadoff, the sports director there. He's on weeknights covering all the Tampa Bay and Sarasota area sports, and get his thoughts on what's going on with the local teams, but maybe some national things too. And Adam Shadoff joining us by telephone tonight. Adam, good to talk to you. How are you tonight?
Good, Doug. Thanks for having me. I'm glad to be able to repay the favor of you coming on all those Friday nights for high school football last season.
Not at all. It was a lot of fun to do. It was a nice surprise when you called me and asked me to do it. We had a lot of fun doing the high school football. And again, for folks around the country, there's a few states that high school football is huge. Florida's one, Texas is another, and we had a lot of fun covering a good season of football.
Yeah, it was good.
Let's talk a little bit about, first of all, your background, Adam, before we get into some of what's going on in the world of sports. You're one of the many sportscasters that went through Syracuse, I understand, right?
I have my bachelor's degree from Syracuse, and I have a master's degree from University of Miami, and I've been all over the country, literally, working my way up the ladder in this business.
As most of us have had to do at one time or another, you got to move around to get work. But going back to the Syracuse, that goes all the way back. I don't know if you remember a guy by the name of Marty Glickman. He was a great sportscaster, play-by-play guy in New York. Of course, Marv Albert went there, and Len Berman, and
Bob
so many
Costas.
guys. Bob Costas too. So you're in a good company.
Yeah. Like I would say probably half the guys at ESPN on air went to Syracuse.
That's right.
It is. It's broadcasters you, that's for sure.
Now, I had a chance to do a lot of college radio, or I went to school up in Long Island. I guess that's something you had the opportunity to do as well, but you probably get to do more TV as well, right, at Syracuse?
Yeah, but I mean, I think most of my real experience came at internships where I would actually get into a station and get a chance to shadow them and ask questions and go inside the locker rooms and help edit and, really do all the day-to-day stuff. That was really where my most valuable experience came.
Yeah, I think this is really one of the few businesses where you have to actually do it. You can sit in a classroom all you want, but unless you do it, you don't learn it as well.
Absolutely, yeah.
Well, let's talk a little bit about what's going on in Tampa Bay area sports as we talk tonight, Adam. Last night, the Lightning, a great game up in Detroit. They're playing a tough first-round playoff series in the NHL playoffs. I know you had a chance to cover a lot of the Lightning this year, heading up to Tampa a few times. What do you make of this team?
It's so strange the way this series has gone. No one's won back-to-back games. The Lightning get shut out a handful of times, and then they turn around and they score 5 goals last night. Stamkos has been really nowhere this series. They're the best 5-on-5 team in the regular season in the entire NHL, and they can't score these goals. They've been awful in the power play, and yet they've still won 3 games, and now it's this deciding Game 7. And to be honest, if you want a prediction on this Game 7 on Wednesday night, I have no idea. I don't know which Lightning team is going to show up. Is Bishop going to play well in goal? Is he going to have one of those bad games where he sees, 15 shots and he lets in 3 of them, like Game 2 there? Is Razik going to be unbelievable, or is he going to allow 5 goals? It's just been such a bizarre series. If you forced me to make a prediction, though, I would say that the Lightning, they're clearly the better team. They're more talented, and I believe they're going to finally get it done and, move on to play Montreal, which I think is probably the best team in the Eastern Conference. just slightly ahead of the Lightning. But I do think they're probably going to get it done in Game 7.
It is a weird series when the Lightning could have wrapped it up the other night. Red Wings come in and win that. Actually, could have taken the lead, I should say. And then the Red Wings come in, win on Tampa Bay's ice to go back home with a chance to wrap it up. And the Lightning go back up there. Very hard to win a elimination game on the road, and now forced to the Game 7. So it has been an odd series.
It really, and just the goaltending, it's been so hot and cold, and I really expected to see more from Stamkos because he's been great this season. The one guy who's been really impressive, who is, people don't know this, probably they don't know me. I'm about 5'8", so I'm a little bit on the shorter side. And Tyler Johnson, I just can't help but root for a guy like Tyler Johnson. He's my size. He's like 5'8", 170. He wasn't drafted. He's gritty. He plays hard every shift. I mean, every minute of every shift, he just goes hard. And he's been really the only guy worth a damn in the entire series for the Lightning. He scored 6 goals. It's unbelievable. Hard not to root for a guy like that. I really like Tyler Johnson.
Yeah, that's one thing about hockey. Size isn't always a prerequisite. You look at a guy like Marty St. Louis, who was down here for so long.
Right.
Not a big guy as well. And doing well with the Rangers, and that's another team that looks to be make another run, maybe get back to the finals. But Lightning with a big Game 7. I don't know if you're going to get a chance to go up there tomorrow, Adam, but nothing like a Game 7 in hockey in the playoffs.
This is what I said in my sportscast tonight. Those are the 2 best words in all of sports. Game 7, especially when you're talking about the Stanley Cup playoffs. I wish I could go, but I am anchoring, and they wouldn't allow me to go up there live. So we're sending our camera guy, and he's actually from Detroit, so he's thrilled for the assignment.
Yeah, that should be a lot of fun. Let's move on to a little bit of Rays baseball talk. And again, as we talked today, kind of an unusual circumstance for the Rays now. They're going to be playing road games at home this weekend. Unfortunately, the situation in Baltimore dictates that the Orioles are going to have to play their series at the Trop, but that's kind of odd. But the Rays are doing a little bit better than I think people thought, right?
Well, it's just, I mean, if you would have said at this point in the season to be down 10 guys on the disabled list or 11 guys now, and they're going to be, leading the American League East and a handful of games above 500, I would have said, take it immediately. I mean, that's unbelievable. I haven't looked around the league, but I can't imagine. Are there any teams that have more guys on the DL, more everyday players?
Yeah, I don't think so. I know the Mets have been had some injuries, and they're doing so well, but the Rays are finding a way to win with a new manager.
Yeah.
I know you had a chance to go up and talk to Cash, didn't you, during spring training?
Yeah, I talked to him a couple of times. I like what he's doing. I mean, he's different than Joe Madden, and I mean, obviously, everybody's different from Joe Madden. There is no one like that, but he sort of fits in the Rays' way of doing things. I think he's an interesting guy, but what really has, I mean, obviously the reason that they won these games is the pitching. Yep. I mean, they're still. You knew going into the season they weren't going to. No matter what, even if everybody was healthy, they weren't going to hit the ball. They weren't going to score a ton of runs. But if the pitching was good, just like every other season that the Rays have had, that they were going to be successful. And Archer has done really well. Odorizzi goes tonight against the Yankees. He's 2-1 with an ERA like 1.5 or something like that. I mean, he's done well. And they're doing this without Matt Moore, without Smiley. Cobb wasn't there at the beginning of the season. It's unbelievable what they've done.
Really has been, and again, a story for those around the country. I'm sure they've heard it on ESPN, the other networks that cover baseball. Of course, the Rays always one of those teams that is thought to be moving somewhere else, and that seems to always come up again every spring and early in the season. And your thoughts? Montreal, I guess, is the city now everybody's talking about. You have some insight into what's going on.
And they had that series at the beginning of the year up there, and they drew really well, 40,000 or whatever for 3 games. But, I mean, it's 3 games, and they weren't drawing well. And then Toronto played their opening series, and after the opening home game there, they were averaging 12,000 fans a game in Toronto there. It's the same or even worse than it is here. I just don't see them moving anytime soon. Yeah, no, and certainly not to Montreal.
No, they had a series last year too. I think the Mets might have played the preseason series there in the old Montreal Olympic Stadium, which was a barn back in the 70s when they built it. It's not a great place.
That's right. it's certainly not a whole lot better than the Trop. People rip the Trop as well, Tropicana Field where the Rays play. And I've had the fan experience there. I've taken my wife and I've taken some people from out of town. And besides the fact that when they play these teams from the Northeast and half the people there are rooting for the opposing team, it's not a terrible ballpark, in my opinion, from the fan experience. I think the complaint is it's just too far for the people that live in Tampa. They have to drive half an hour, 45 minutes. I never really understood that completely.
No, I don't either. I've been there many times, and I agree with you. It's not bad once you're inside. I mean, it's a nice looking. They did a lot of upgrades to it, and it's a fun place to watch a game. But like you said, the attendance issues, and that's nothing new this year. I guess people get tired of hearing about it down here, but it is a factor that the attendance isn't there, except when the Yankees or the Red Sox come to town, teams like that, and that's usually on the weekends. But during the middle of the week, very tough to get people there.
It's a strange phenomenon when they're playing the Yankees or the Red Sox, or even sometimes the Orioles, and you're in the stands, and that sometimes a player from the Yankees gets a hit. Like last year, Jeter would get a hit, or A-Rod or something like that. Not last year, obviously, but and it's like a home crowd reaction for one of them. It's a pretty interesting phenomenon there.
Yeah. Adam Shadoff of SNN sports director here at Sarasota, Manatee County, Florida, talking some local sports. Let's move on to the NFL draft coming up later this week. 3-day event now. They started that about a year or so ago, or all 3 days on television. I got to cover that when I was in college radio back in the early 80s when it was at a hotel ballroom, and even that seemed kind of gaudy. Now it's a 3-day thing at Radio City. What do you make of the whole draft thing? Are you into that?
Yeah, I'm a Denver Broncos fan. That's who I grew up rooting for, and I'll be interested to see what they do. I'll watch the first round obviously because I need to know what's going on. I'll watch the whole thing, but as far as for my home team as a fan who I'm rooting for, I'll see what they do in the first round. I'll look at the results, see who they got, and that's it. These guys that go and they cheer like crazy, they're in the, it's crazy. You don't even know this guy. You maybe saw one game of this guy play in college, and now he's your new linebacker or cornerback, and you're going nuts. It just shows you how big the NFL is.
Unbelievable what it's become now. Used to call them the draftniks when the fans would hang around on the balcony of the hotel ballroom. Now they fill up 5,000 seats in Radio City. That's pretty wild.
It's going to be in Chicago this year.
You're right. I'm sorry, they did move it. Yeah, you're right. Had been in New York for so long.
It'll be interesting.
Yeah. Well, down here, Bucks fans are looking toward the number one pick. Could be some movement, but consensus seems to be that Winston is going to be the pick. I know you have had a chance to kind of go up and talk to the folks at One Buck Place. Any insight what's going on up there?
Well, Jason Light said today, it was an interesting point. I guess, I don't know, maybe not interesting, but it was worthwhile to hear him say that there have been a couple of teams that have contacted him about, the potential to trade for that number one pick, but that he thought it would be, his word I think was exclusionary. I think he just means it would be too expensive. And when they initially got that first round pick, I was kind of one of those people who thought, hey, why not just package it and just load up right now? I don't think that the Bucks could have won consistently with Josh McCown as their quarterback, but I didn't think he was as bad as some people thought. And I was kind of in the camp of, if you can keep him and Mike Glennon, who's still kind of unproven, the backup quarterback, why not get some immediate help with a really good offensive lineman and then a package of 2 or 3 first-round draft picks, including one this year? What's the harm in that? But the risk there is that you're giving up the potential to draft one of these franchise quarterbacks. And I don't know about you, but of everything I've seen and everything I've read, I kind of feel like both have the potential, Marcus Mariota and James Winston, to be the franchise kind of a guy and to win. But history tells us one of them is probably going to be a bust, realistically, right? One of them is going to fail.
Yeah,
And
I'm not a big fan of Winston. I mean, what he's done has been well documented, all those things.
Yeah.
But I think if you're looking at character, just from what I've seen in interviews, Mariota is your guy. If you want a character guy, you could say Winston's a better athlete. But I'm banking on one guy leading my offense for the next 5 to 10 years, and you have to pick between those two. I go with Mariota.
Yeah, and I just feel like I agree with you there as well. I just kind of feel like the Bucs are going to go the other way, and I just don't see any way they're not going to pick Winston. Nope. I think it's going to make them relevant immediately, and especially if he wins some games early on right away, and he's going to sell tickets. You've been to these games. The new FCC blackout rules in effect, so there won't be any more blackouts. But really, they were never even close to selling out at Raymond James Stadium for the past couple of seasons, really. There's not a whole lot of interest anymore because they just haven't been relevant. And with Jameis Winston, it makes him relevant on a national stage. Think about it. They're going to be on SportsCenter, all their highlights, all the time. There's going to be a lot of buzz surrounding the team. They're going to sell more tickets. I kind of feel like they're pigeonholed into having to really take him. But we'll see. I mean, this is kind of going to be a make-or-break draft, really, for the team for the next 5 years.
The bold move would to do what Jimmy Johnston did, package it and get a whole bunch of draft picks and players back, like remember we did with Herschel Walker. But I don't think Lovey's going to do that.
Which is what I was saying earlier. I mean, when you think about the value that you get, imagine if they got, a starting, not an all-pro, but maybe a Pro Bowl offensive lineman, which is obviously their number one spot of need, and then 3 first-round draft picks, right? Yeah. And then you're going to pick later on in the first round. You're going to get a proven offensive lineman that helps immediately, which is really what they need. And then you ride with one of these quarterbacks, which they're not the greatest guys, but still relatively unproven. And then you get a bunch of first-round draft picks to really stock up later. It would have been interesting, but I just don't see that happening.
No, I don't think. I agree with you. I think the ticket sales move is what they need, and that's why they're going with Winston. But we'll see what happens with the Bucs this year. I know you get a chance to go up and cover them every week on Media Day, so that'll be interesting. Not too far down the road, we'll see him in first workouts. And Adam Shadoff, always great to have a chance to talk with you. We'll do it a few times during the year as you're available, but great to have you with us here on Sports Talk. I know Don Henderson, he couldn't be with us as we tape tonight, but he sends his best, and we'll look forward to talking to you.